are a direct attack on every man, woman, and child. Those of you who are thinking, it's not me, screw those California idiots, you better pay attention. I'm talking to you. We need first to take a step back and take a look at the esoteric meaning of what's going on here in California if you want to have any chance of understanding what's transpiring here. Because when you look at the headlines and the talking points that are coming out of the media, chiefly the headlines, are describing paradise lost, paradise California, right? A paradise destroyed. This is the twilight language that's being used around this event. It's being pushed into the collective consciousness. There are obvious esoteric implications here. The fires have turned paradise into a burning inferno. They have rendered heaven into hell. This is a classic Luciferian inversion, turning the truth upside down. Ammo. I'm trying to stick with Camp Porter here. You see an American flag right here burning at the corner of this neighborhood. These houses are completely gone. Just on the other side of here are homes that have not been yet touched by fire. The wind is blowing the opposite direction. The American flag here. Is that a wind shift? It's a wind shift going which direction? East? Northwest. What is that popping? Those are propane tanks. You know, like the 5-gallon propane tanks? 5-gallon propane tanks for camping. I'm gonna stick with Kent here. The wind is just so powerful, so strong here. Burning. Don't get too close, Kent. Don't get too close. I can't get in there, it's too hot. I'm sorry, I don't have anything about range and rustle. This is what was that? That looks like a gas. Hey, Ken, that's a gas line. Let's get out of here.
much different story out here right now. This was ground zero around 6 o'clock last night. Embers were flying over our head. Huge embers, small embers. It was glowing. It was hot. This is what I'm talking about. Embers flew about a quarter to half mile away over to this hillside and immediately turned into that lava effect that Steve referred to. It looked like lava.
She said when she was leaving her house, there were basketball-sized embers being thrown from this fire pit.
Unbelievable.
That's where this is getting out of control. Those little demon embers.
And why you're showing us that is it's the example that we've all been describing throughout the day, that the winds with those kind of embers just keep this thing moving.
This event was the worst case scenario. It's the event that we have feared for a long time. And over the course of the years, we have worked hard to develop a plan to evacuate people in this event. That said, you need to understand that factors can exist that make even the best plans not perfect or not the exact outcome that you want. And in this case, we had a fire that was moving very, very rapidly, being pushed by some very, very strong winds.
Being covered by all this black smoke. There are fire units up there. I know they're doing the best they can for structure protection, but this is a tough one, Jason. The wind is carrying this. I hear somebody yelling over there. I can't tell what he's saying.
Yeah, you mentioned structure protection. That is taking a backseat to lives and saving them right now. At that point, you see those little embers, those little pieces of mulch on fire, and that's how a home will catch fire. It gets right into the attic, and suddenly a home is up in flames just like that. So keep an eye out for that. Watch out for yourself. The yelling, I would imagine, has to be neighbors looking out for neighbors, perhaps firefighters trying to get people out, because saving lives is the #1 priority at this point.
Yeah, Ginny, please, you need to be careful. As you know, those embers, it doesn't take much for those to catch fire with some of the dry brush. We need to make sure that you are safe and that you have a quick escape route if the fire starts to build in that immediate area.
Yeah, this is once again just south of the 8 on just off South Grade Road, off the 8 south of it. And so you can see here, we've been telling you that areas by the Albertsons, which is at 2955 Alpine Boulevard, need to evacuate, mandatory, and people can go to Viejas Casino right now. We have a house up.
And take a look. You can see this is how dangerous this is. When the winds pick up and the embers start to fly, they catch anywhere where there's something dry enough to burn, and you can see flames already erupting on the house there, that the street where Ginny is. This is just by Olive View, south of the 8. No, this is not the kind of thing that you want to see. That hopefully the people who live there are out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You have to actually physically go in there, and right now there's only a handful of firefighters able to go from house to house, make sure everybody's clear and out. On the right, you see another angle. One of our 10 news crews there can kind of give you an idea. Steve Friederina's camera from a distance giving you an idea of that fire, and you can see Megan has been saying 21-mile-per-hour gusts, and that definitely looks to be the case. Ginny showed us the windmill that was blowing at a high rate of speed, and Ginny's trying to put this out with her feet, stomping on this.
We just want to make sure that Ginny's safe.
Absolutely.
Because this can catch and suddenly, rapidly, just to start to explode.
I believe I'm one street north of you, and there's embers starting to fly. You can see this is right below my feet. There was a guy out here just a little while ago trying to put these wood chips that they're flaring up again. Check out this windmill here that this guy's got. It's all over the place. It's pointing all over the place. What's weird
about people are actually losing their homes. Think about that. You go home every day. So sad to think about. People are actually losing their homes. Think about that. You go home every day. You might take it for granted that they just go to your home. And now these people, handful of them, won't have a home to go to. They left their home thinking they're under mandatory evacuation, not knowing that when they come back, will they have a home or will they not do? Will my neighbor's home be there? Will my family member? Will my friends? Now these people are homeless. They're gonna have to rely on their friends and their family and their community for support and help. All we can do right now is think about it and hope for the very best. Because it must be a hard time.
Other European countries for help. They're in rural areas or semi-rural areas. This is a subdivision, and as you can see, we're watching this home burn to the ground. Right next door, there is another house also burned to the ground, and we've seen about a dozen of them in the dark. Now, as officials are able to drive around as we are, we're seeing more and more homes that have just been wiped out here. So yeah, the significance here is, and as what happened is, it's out in the hinterlands, right? It's outside the city limits. It doesn't look like it's growing that dramatically. And then it triples, quadruples in size in the late evening hours. And it, like I said, it intrudes into the city limits. At that point, wow, we weren't expecting that. And it was because of heavy winds and strange sort of weather conditions created by the fire. They said they had what they call a fire-nado, which is when the fire creates its own weather and it actually whips around like a tornado. And so we had these fierce winds coming through. It pushed into these more populated areas, and then they're not taking any chances. They start evacuating people, and thousands of people, and the wind especially, it's just so unpredictable. And when it creates its own weather, there's no predicting that, right?
Missy, wife and two great-grandchildren, ages 4 and 5, perished in the fire. They were trapped at home surrounded by flames. Ed says he was stuck at a roadblock. His home was one of more than 500 structures that burned when ferocious winds blew a wall of fire into parts of Reading on Thursday. Today, authorities confirmed another body was found. Roughly 38,000 people are still under evacuation, and police say looters are targeting empty neighborhoods. When people are finally allowed to return to their homes, this is what many will find. People want to get back into these communities. They want to see if their homes survive. Yeah. What's the slowdown?
What we want to do right now is make sure that the areas that have been kind of devastated by this fire are safe. The last thing we want is to let people back in and then have someone injured or killed because it's not safe in here yet.
When the damage is this bad, though, it's going to be hard to salvage much of anything.
So what are we looking at back here in terms of the action that's going on by these firefighters?
Yeah, so you're looking at a commercial structure that was obviously ignited as this fire ran through the north part of Santa Rosa.
And these firefighters here are taking a defensive attack, really just trying to hold this road, and this is the tactic that they're using to try to stop the progression from building to building. Yeah, so the fire's still pushing into the city of Santa Rosa, both in the north and kind of east side of the city. So there's still some pretty significant wind gusts up in the hill and coming down. So everywhere along the 101 corridor, basically North Santa Rosa is being impacted still by this fire. It still is very dynamic and very active, as you can see.
What are we seeing and hearing right here?
Yeah, so you're seeing some sort of material ignite and burn in there. You're getting a lot of materials that are vaporizing and combusting. Gas lines, different materials they may store in the structure, and obviously some explosions occurring as well.
Are we in danger right here? Do we need to start thinking about moving back based on
Good
this?
time to end the interview and step back for a second.
Okay, so guys, sorry about that. We are going to have to actually move our.
When I was moving out, I was with my wife, drove by around my shop. I saw my truck was already fire, and fire was not coming even close to the building yet. Fire was not coming even close to the building yet. I was with my wife, drove by around my shop. I saw my truck was already fire, and fire was not coming even close to the building yet.
Now we moved, and you got to see this to believe this. I'm going to have Martin pan to the left. You're looking at a neighborhood that goes block after block after block that is completely and totally and overwhelmingly destroyed.
Oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like this. Right behind me, this was part of a trailer park here. It looks a lot calmer than it used to be, but it's almost just like, did that really just happen? And there's nothing there at that location. I think people are kind of how I'm feeling. You just can't believe it. This is like a scene out of a movie.
Southern California, but I mean, we're in a neighborhood right now. I don't even know how.
And this is your neighborhood.
I mean, I'm from pretty close to here. I mean,
it's because just seeing things still burning leveled like this.
The devastation's not over.
You know, from yesterday when you were thinking about that wind.
No, not at all. And I mean, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but I have a very close friend that I live with who is a firefighter, and he thinks that somebody started these fires on purpose. He said, you know, fires like this in all these multiple different locations, that just doesn't happen.
This isn't that. I thought you were somebody else. That's right.